Hey guys, we're live and this is a how-to series on how to podcast. My name is Taylor Brana and I'm a psychiatry resident. I'm going to be finishing up this year actually. And I love podcasting. It's one of the things I love to do. I'm super passionate about this. And this is a whole how-to series on how to podcast. So for this video, I'm going to be going into the frequently asked questions that most people will ask when they're starting a podcast. This series is not for someone who's already done this thing. Maybe there's some questions that you have, but this really is for people to take charge and learn how to podcast. So I'm really excited to get through these questions. And just for you guys to understand a little bit about my background, I've generated 5 podcasts at this point. We've amassed more than 250,000 downloads, if not more. I've had the opportunity to make some money doing podcasting, and it's something I didn't even realize I could do. And it's just a super enjoyable process. It really has done so much for my life, and I know it can positively impact yours as well. So we're going to go through some of these questions. So let's go through this list. Again, these are commonly asked questions. And because this is live, if anyone wants to kind of chip in, ask some questions, I'll throw them up. Otherwise, feel free to contact me with your questions and I can definitely follow up and do another video where I answer those questions. So let's get into some of these. How long does it take to get started to podcast? Or how long does the process take to actually go from knowing nothing to initiating a podcast? Well, I will say that one of the reasons I'm doing this series is there are so many mistakes that people make. There's things that people don't realize that maybe they should consider. There's all these overarching things that you might want to do from the get-go in order to really launch successfully. So I would argue that if you want to launch fast, you could probably do this in less than 5 hours. But if you want to do it right, if you want to learn the entire process, if you want to really dip your toes in and understand the whole process, I would definitely schedule out at least 10 to 20 hours, probably closer to 20 hours, reading, listening, enriching yourself in a bunch of this information, watching videos, and really putting in the time, because there's going to be a few steps you might want to consider depending on how professional you want this to look, depending on the system you want to have in place, depending on the process you want to have in place. So I would argue it's going to be closer to that 20-hour mark. But once you get there, once you put in that time, you're going to be able to launch successfully and it's going to move smoothly. So that's how long I think it's going to take. What should I talk about on my show? So this is something I talked about in the previous video, but what you should talk about is what you are passionate about. It should be a topic that you want to understand more. It should be something that you want to look towards, something that you want to learn more about, guests that you want to have, people that you want to have on your table. You can talk about anything you want to, as long as you start to envision what this topic's going to be. But I would argue it has to be something that you are passionate about, because people feel the passion, they feel the energy, and they want to hear from you if you're actually enthusiastic. That's actually one of the tips I give when I'm coaching people and teaching people about this process. Is it's absolutely important to be energetic and enthusiastic about the topic that you're doing when it comes to podcasting. So how do I interview someone? So when you're just starting, and this is something I'm going to teach also in these videos and teach in this process, is when you're starting out, it's actually really important to study. Actually, it's always important to study who you are going to speak to. Who are you going to interview? You didn't just ask them to hop on for no reason, right? There's a reason you grabbed that guest. So it's absolutely important to research them, figure out what is that they do, and write out questions that you're authentically looking to get answered. And if you have those really great questions, it's going to be an awesome interview. And just remember, you've talked to plenty of people before, right? This isn't anything new. You've talked to people your whole life. So you don't have to bring up all of these nerves. You don't have to get so caught up in the fact, oh my gosh, now I'm recording a podcast. It really is just being yourself. It's about enjoying the moment. You can ask some goofy questions, but I would start out by writing out a list of questions that you think are really important for the for the podcast that you really want to ask the guest or whoever you have on. And be authentically interested. Listen to the conversation. Enjoy the flow. It's a really great process. What equipment do I need? This is a super common question, and this is something I'm going to dig into way more in the following videos as we go on through this series on the how-to of podcasting. But the big thing, obviously, you're going to need a computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop. You're going to need one of these guys over here. You're going to need a microphone to record. There's a wide variety of microphones, and we'll kind of go through that process as well. So you're going to need a microphone. You're going to need high-speed internet. I highly recommend having a cable-connected internet source. If you want to do a video podcast, you're going to want to consider having a webcam or just using the built-in camera that you have at first. And that's pretty much it. And then also like some headphones. Really, you're just going to potentially want a camera. You're going to want to have a nice microphone, and you're going to want to have a laptop or desktop. It doesn't matter if it's Mac, it doesn't matter if it's PC. There's a software that's going to be available to make this all happen. So that's really it. It's not that complicated. There are really fancy things when you move forward, but when you're just getting started or when you're just trying to start this process, it really doesn't take much. What software do I need? Again, I'm going to go and dig into a lot of the different software options that you have for editing, for scheduling guests, for social media, for staying organized, for editing your audio effectively. There's different levels to editing your audio. There's a bunch of different software out there. But in essence, when you're just getting started, all you really need software-wise is a simple audio editing software like Audacity is one, GarageBand is another. There's a few of them, and you might want a little bit more editing software, but that's pretty much it. Once you do that, there's online software that you can use for recording. I generally use Zoom a lot for my recordings. I started using StreamYard, which is actually what I'm using right now for this live stream. So there's a few different software options, and I'm going to go through all that, but it's super simple. It's not that complicated. And once you start to get used to it, you can start to implement different software options. But it really doesn't take much. All you need, again, is a laptop or desktop, and you just download these simple options. And again, I'm going to go into more detail about this in future videos. This is a super common question, and one of the reasons people like to start podcasting is maybe they think they can make some money. So I'm going to kind of dispel some myths and some truths about that. Absolutely, you can make money podcasting. It is going to take some time for you to develop traction, develop an audience for you to make money. In essence, the more niche your audience is, meaning the more specific that your audience is, the more likely that you'll be able to end up monetizing, because you're going to have a specific audience that then you can get products to advertise. There's actually multiple ways of making money, but yes, absolutely, podcasts make money. It just takes a little bit of time to get an audience. I would argue for the first 6 months, you should create content enough so that you start to develop your audience, develop your community that you're going to have online. And then you can convert that into making money. Now, there's a few simple models to making money. One is for every 1,000 downloads that you get for your podcast, you can have an advertiser, for example, pay you X amount of dollars per 1,000 downloads. And depending on your niche, you might be able to make more, or you might be able to make less. So it kind of depends on the niche that you generate. And again, I can go into way more detail about this in a future episode and video. The other way you can make money is just doing what's called a ad share or ad revenue share, where you work with a company or a group, and every time a person purchases something through your podcast and they buy that product, you're going to get a percentage of the money that that individual converted for. So for example, if you're trying to sell a product on your podcast that's $100 and you convert someone, then let's say you get 10% per conversion, you'll get $10 every time someone converts. So there's a couple models, but yes, podcasts do make money. It takes time, and some of these podcasts make a lot of money. So it really just depends on your traction and depends on how deep your niche is and how big your community is. So the next question is, how much does it cost to start a podcast? Well, if you have a desktop or a laptop, you have a set of headphones, and you want to just use in your built-in microphone, you literally can start a podcast for absolutely nothing. You can start a podcast for free. If you want to get a fancy microphone, like this guy I have right here is $100. Nothing too crazy. I actually got it for less, but this type of microphone, the ATR 2100 here, I think is more expensive now. So I would argue with the microphone, it's about $100. There's a few software options, which are the ones I use, are like $10 to $15 a month. So really it's like $100 initial and then $15 a month. It's really not that expensive to start a podcast. Again, there's different software you can get and you can upgrade. But in general, it's really not that expensive. You can expect maybe $15 to $30 a month, maybe less, just it depends on what your goals are. And again, I'm going to go through a bunch of this stuff in future videos. How do I get guests? Super simple question. And often people are super scared about this, but really it's quite simple. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, someone on the street, people you know, reaching out, calling, texting. People will hop on your podcast. It's actually not that hard. You literally just ask. Most people say yes. And if they say no, they say, I'm too busy, but I can do it later. And then you just contact them again. A lot of people make this really complicated. It's actually not. I've had people with 9-figure incomes on my podcast. I've had TED Talk speakers. I've had physicians, I've professionals. I've had entrepreneurs, CEOs. I've spoken to so many people, and it really is just about asking. It's not complicated. Hey, do you want to be on my podcast? This is what I talk about. And a lot of times people just say, yeah, that sounds amazing. And people love to be on. So it's really not hard. If podcasts are so great, why doesn't everyone do it? This is actually going to go towards another question that I have set up here that you can check out later. But like, if podcasts are so great, why doesn't everyone do it? And I think the number one answer is two things: misconceptions about podcasting and what you can do with it, or number two, fear. I think a lot of people are really afraid to put themselves out there. I think a lot of people are nervous about what other people think about them. I think a lot of people don't know how to get started, which is why I'm creating this series. And I do coaching for people. And I think that's why everyone doesn't do it. I think people are nervous, people are scared, and they don't have the right tools or the right coaching to really get them to the next level and talk about something they're passionate about. So that's what I would say for that question. How do I schedule guests? So scheduling is actually super simple. There's software specifically for this, which I'll go into more discussion about. The one I use personally is called Calendly. It literally syncs up to your calendar. You can have questions as part of that process. And again, super easy to schedule guests. And it makes it really easy for the guest to select a time that works for them that's on your calendar. And that makes it super simple. So I'm going to go through that as well in more detail in further videos. This is kind of related to those money questions I had before, but when is my podcast going to make money? I would say that it takes about 6 months or more. Technically, you can start making money right away. It really just depends on your podcast and the audience you already have for your business or whatever it is that you do. But in general, I would argue you want to probably do it free for about 6 months, generate your audience, generate the traction, show proof of concept. So then that way you can start to find ways to convert this thing into something, if that's what you want to do. And I want to say the caveat is podcasts are not about making money first. Podcasts are about the fun, the creativity, the guests you get to have on, the networking opportunity, the personal development that you're going to get. Making money is a secondary thing that will happen, but you should wait. So I would definitely say that that's where my focus would be. It would be on the content, be on the process. And the money will happen if you generate an awesome community and get some traction. Here's our next question here. What if I don't know much about editing, but interested in starting? So let's say like you don't know much about technology. You don't know how to edit audio. You don't know any of these things. That's why I'm making this video series. It's actually really not hard. And worst comes to worst, you can get a virtual assistant or an assistant. There's so many online to get you to help you in this process. But in the beginning, you should learn the system, and it's very simple. It is not hard to use a couple of these tools to get started, and I will show people how to do that in the video series as well. All right. What if I'm not blank enough? And I kind of set up this question for a specific reason. What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not smart enough? What if I'm not capable enough? What if I'm not enthusiastic enough? What if I'm not energetic enough? What if I'm not a good enough speaker? What if I'm not, able to continuously do this? What if I'm not consistent enough? These are all the questions, all the fear questions that come into mind. And the answer is just get started. You are enough, and it's a process. And as you start to do this process over and over again, you will get better. You'll learn more. You will change. You will get more experience. It just takes time. It just always takes time. And you are good enough. You're good enough right now to start. Let's go. Like I love this. Like, let's go. Like, it's always today to get started. When is the best time to start a podcast? I mean, I really just answered this. Now is the right time to start a podcast. Today is the right time. Yesterday was the right time, but now is the right time to start a podcast. Whatever it is that you do, whatever passion that you have, today is the day to start a podcast. There's so many things you could talk about. There's people you can get in touch with, and this will generate a lot of amazing things for your business, for your personal life. Podcasting can really do a lot. So now is the best time to start a podcast. How do I reveal or promote my podcast? So promoting a podcast is, so now that you've created your podcast, right? How are you going to show it to the world? Well, the easiest way right now in 2020, COVID pandemic time, is social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. There is a process. My biggest thing is document your excitement of getting this thing moving, documenting the branding that you're going to do, maybe the logo that you're generating, maybe just the name, document the people that you want to have on, document your nervousness. Just talk about it online, start to get people excited about the fact that you're going to do it. And then when you launch, people are ready. People are ready to know about it. People will see that you've started this process. And look, everyone has a first time, but I'll tell you, when you start your podcast, when you put it out to the world, generally people are really excited for you. They want to see you succeed, and they're interested to see what you put out there. So I would say that it's just about getting people teased about what you're going to do, documenting the process, and then when it's official, say boom, and put it out to the world, have a nice image, post it, have some links of the first few episodes, and get rolling. Now, because this is live, I do have a comment. I'm just going to check. Mike Sass, awesome, man. I'm just going to pop this comment up here. I really appreciate this. Mike Sass said, just want to tell you, it's been awesome seeing you grow through this platform, and it is inspiring. And Mike, I really appreciate you, man. I want to thank you for watching. That's amazing. And look, guys, this is something that happens when you put content out in the world, when you start to podcast, when you start to do this process. People reach out and really appreciate it. So Mike, I want to appreciate you for hopping on, commenting on this video. So guys, those are the commonly asked questions for today. That this is going to be, again, I'm just going through some general stuff right now. We're going to get into more specific content for the rest of the videos, but I really want to appreciate you guys for watching today. In a second, we're going to go to my outro video. I do coaching as well. And I'm going to be generating an online course, but this is free content because I want you to learn how to get started with podcasting. I want you to do it right away. And I sincerely appreciate your time. So thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you on the next one.